Good morning, Chairman Neal, Republican Leader Brady, and members of the committee. I lead ClearPath. We develop and advance conservative policies that accelerate clean energy innovation. An important note, we are an independent organization that does not receive funding from industry or others with a vested interest in our policy positions. Thank you for this opportunity at this important hearing. Climate change is an urgent challenge that merits significant action at every level of government and the private sector. Its economic and health impacts are clearly rising. For example, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration finds that the 5-year running average of damage of weather events has risen 5-fold over the past 20 years, from $20 billion a year to $100 billion per year. As this committee considers its part in U.S. climate policies, your solutions should be ambitious, technology inclusive, politically realistic, and substantively pragmatic. Too often, climate policy is oversimplified to false choices: renewables versus fossils, economy versus environment, immediate reductions at home versus inaction. The reality is this: solutions must make the clean energy transition cheaper and faster while preserving economic growth and reflecting the global nature of this challenge. For example, the expected emissions growth by 2050 from developing Asian countries alone would offset a complete decarbonization of the U.S. economy by mid-century. In addition to all of China's domestic coal, their Belt and Road Initiative is building 100 gigawatts of coal plants without carbon controls in 23 countries like Vietnam and Indonesia. We have a choice: bet that China and their partners shut down their coal at the cost of growth, or develop, demonstrate, and deploy affordable carbon capture technologies abroad. We need an aggressive innovation policy to make clean energy cheap. In the near term, politically unrealistic policies to make traditional energy more expensive will only aid deployment of existing technologies, not facilitate breakthroughs relevant for the developing world. Effective policies to make clean energy cheaper include both pushes and pulls. They invest in basic and applied R&D, demonstrate technologies in public-private partnerships, and accelerate early deployment. This early deployment enables the all-important learning by doing, which has driven the huge cost declines in natural gas, wind, and solar. Federal tax incentives have effectively deployed numerous clean technologies, such as the unconventional gas credit that scaled up shale gas in its early days. As you all know well, these policies enjoy bipartisan appeal. In just the past 2 Congresses, Chairman Neal, Congressman Reed, and many others on this committee championed the solar ITC and PTC extension and phase-down deal. Representatives Conaway, McKinley, Sewell, and Boyle were instrumental in the 45Q reform package for carbon capture from power plants and industry, and Representative Rice's 45J reform bill, supported by Representatives Blumenauer, Marchant, Sewell, Ferguson, and Schweikert, will facilitate the first advanced nuclear reactors. Moving forward, the climate challenge calls for new policy designs. Today's technology-specific approaches virtually all phase out over the next 8 years. Those incentives have become ill-suited to stimulating the breakthrough innovation we need. This committee should take advantage of the bipartisan consensus around deploying new technologies. For example, Representatives Reed and LaHood have proposed the Energy Sector Innovation Credit, or ESIC. This technology-neutral approach would leverage market signals, help the most promising technologies, and phase down as each technology proves its commercial availability. ESIC limits market distortions, unlike existing production tax credits. Its qualification criteria require step-change performance across all generation sources. It does not pick winners and losers. A recent report sponsored by Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy Coalition and authored by Daniel Yergin's IHS Markit and former Energy Secretary Ernie Moniz's Energy Futures Initiative highlights federal tax policy as a key enabler for clean innovation. Moniz and Yergin specifically recognize the Reed-LaHood ESIC concept. Some preliminary analysis conducted by premier energy economic modelers on location projects the Reed-LaHood proposal to result in gigaton-scale CO2 emissions reductions by 2040, just with contributions from a group of known clean technologies near to demonstration: small modular reactors like NuScale, innovative carbon capture technologies like Net Power, floating offshore wind, and energy storage. ESIC will surely cut emissions far more by scaling up all the technologies we cannot even foresee today. Many other innovative financing ideas warrant consideration. Bipartisan members support legislation to establish clean technology bonds, expand eligibility for master limited partnerships, and even leverage private activity bonds for innovative projects. We must now together decipher what suite of policies yield the greatest bang for the buck in reducing global emissions. A serious debate on climate solutions must include a dose of political and technical realism. I'm here to tell you firsthand that it's all right to be conservative and agree climate change is an urgent problem to address today, not tomorrow. ClearPath is eager to assist the committee in advancing stronger policies that commercialize cutting-edge clean technologies needed to reduce global emissions as quickly and cheaply as possible. Thank you again for the opportunity.